Pamajiki Pututama, Pamajiki Pututama. Kawajingi Pumitama, Kawajingi Pumitama, Kasakala Tornende. Pamajiki Pututama, Kawajingi Pumitama, Damyona Yamende.
Okay, touchy the leg. Oh, today is Sunday here in the United States, and there's been a lot of update, and I'm mainly speaking in English to try to dispel the confusion and this huge, massive, uncoordinated campaign of lies that's been trying to defame His Holiness Dalai Lama and attack on the money, the on the most respected, renowned spiritual peacemaker, His Holiness Dalai Lama. And so today's main topic, I wrote it as Dalai Lama incident, truth versus media hype, latest update, voices of truth. So I want to try to focus on those and speak from my heart without much of like a script and preparations. I'm not some. So there's a lot of beautiful updates, and I hope I can be a good messenger. So for whoever is listening out there, and I've had quite a lot of issues from the first day when I started. Responding to this attack, and then my YouTube started not being able to show some of the videos that I wanted to post and some of the sound that I wanted to post. So now I'm relied to a lot of, and then it took me 2 days to later to just live post that Truth Matters, one of the link that I wrote down. And today now there's some really exciting, good updates. And again, my entire platform, the profound concern that was like a shocking to the system when this defamation and complete false accusation furthest from truth happened, and when this is not true, it compelled me to take actions. And so I always focused from the beginning, truth matters. So my main, from the beginning, I always say, truth is the only foundation where we can really build longevity and trust. Truth fosters understanding and reduces misunderstanding. Hence, it builds better decision making for all of us. Truth is the most essential foundation for our collective society to function in a just, appropriate, and positive manner. Truth leads to informed decisions, and truth promotes positive personal and collective growth. And that's why it matters. So now getting back to the recent big, huge media hype that was incited in a coordinated, massive campaign globally towards trying to defame His Holiness Dalai Lama. And again, I want to revert back to the difference between truth and propaganda. So propagandas, what they do is they bring misleading, selective, edited video clips to propagate informations that are most not true. And propaganda also brings false context, or sometimes there's no context. So in this case, when the accusation on His Holiness Dalai Lama, happened, then there was no context whatsoever. So we, as the voices of truth, are wanting to bring the context of the full picture. So truth also, the propaganda also manipulates propaganda in this era, also manipulates incidents or these video edited short hyped videos, and then manipulate truth, and hence that's a propaganda and it's different from truth. And then in this case, the propaganda also can amplify a short clip and make it seem like as if it's a widespread support for their for widespread. So propaganda, by sharing short clips widely on social media and other platforms, the propaganda party can amplify their message and create impressions of widespread support for their agenda. They might use bots, like the computer AI technologies, like the bots. They might use fake account, and that, in as you can see, when the false accusation of His Holiness Dalai Lama, equating that short, hyped, manipulated, edited video to child molesting and all kinds of false accusations, where mainly also there was computer bots involved in, and a lot of the fake account were posting. And if you have done enough research, if you knew the incident long enough, then you know there's entire huge department of, they call the 50-cent troopers within the communist, corrupt China, fascist China, which is, and they get paid for each one of the false comments. And if you do enough research, those fake accounts, when you click them, then there's no links and no informations. And many of the researchers have also found these. And so, again, the difference between propaganda and truth, like I said, the truth fosters positive growth. Truth is the best foundation for long-term trust building. Truth inspires connectivity and good social manners. Truth also helps us making more decisive, clear decisions. And on the other hand, in this case, the misleading edited short clip and hypes, false with no context or false context, manipulative narratives, and amplification hypes makes misinformation campaign. And so you, as the viewer, and we in our time with a lot of information exposed to us, we have to make our clear best decisions. Anyway, so getting back to the first, I want to show another report that I found. And so here, this is the infosecurity-magazine.com. So on the infosecurity-magazine.com, it's an old, not too old, actually, October 12, 2022. So here the reports, if I can bring it up there. So it says, report by Kevin, reporter, Infosecurity Magazine. China's state-sponsored cyber attack poses growing threat to U.S. national security. According to a report from consultancy from Boats, Alien Hamilton, released on October 12, 2022. The report, Sam Clark, let me not read all the, decoding how China's Republic of China's uses cyber attack, is addressed to CISO of American companies and their allies, as well as threat analysis. It offers a comprehensive analysis of more than 13 case studies of Chinese-sponsored cyber attacks over the past decade. That's 13 case studies of Chinese-sponsored. Let me read it, highlighted here. In past decade, to understand the conditions that ignites PRC cyber offensives, which will allow cognition organizations to better anticipate when, where, and how those attacks may occur and ensure they are ready to defend against. So anyway, there's a lot. Obviously, this is a long article that you can read, and let me try to bring it and post it right here on the. Here you go. I posted on the comment so you could later get the referral. And now I want to pass you a good news, and I think our beautiful friends in Minnesota, Jimila, has brought some really updated information, and I think he explains the situation in a much more effective manner. So let me show you this. So let's all listen to the.
Teshidile, my name is Jigme. This is a follow-up to my last video. Today I'm here to share new information, video footage, and updates surrounding the manipulated viral video of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I hope you were able to watch to the end so that this information will help you process to find your own truth. Video footage of a different interaction between His Holiness and the Indian student with another beautiful and humorous exchange between the two that we had not seen before. Interviews with the student and his mother immediately following the event, and then individuals and accounts responsible for manipulating the video and how they made it so viral. Community reactions and eventually a call to action. So away from the bots and trolls spewing hate and horrifying comments, there are people who are sincerely confused and alarmed, even concerned for the welfare of the boy and his family. We see you and we hear you. Child abuse and neglect are serious global problems. Outrage over sexual abuse in religious institutes are not new, as high-profile crimes occur against children on a daily basis. Child abuse should never be tolerated. But His Holiness's act of kindness, humor, and grandfatherly affection towards the young student should not be compared to that. For decades now, the Chinese government has launched one of the most sophisticated cyber warfare and digital espionage operations targeting His Holiness, the Tibetan community, and the Tibetan movement. With this manipulated video, they are actually more successful than their countless attempts in the past. Many people watching this video did not know that the boy's mother was literally an arm's length away and watching the interaction between His Holiness and her son, and that there were over 120 students and other dignitaries in this globally live telecasted event. When I was researching details, I found this next clip on YouTube. I made calls to reliable sources in Dharamsala who were present that day to confirm and validate the flow. So apparently, the young Indian student had been selected to offer gifts to His Holiness during the welcome or the opening ceremony. He was already on the rostrum or the stage with his mother, who was one of the organizers. You can actually see him touch His Holiness's feet, an age-old Indian tradition to give respect to elders and seek their blessing. The boy hugs him, he offers the gifts, they touch forehead, and there is an affectionate and hilarious interaction between the two. Now the viral video where the student says, "Can I hug you?"
Can I hug you?
was actually much later at the event during the Q&A, the question and answer session. So the student offered His Holiness gifts during the welcome session, and they hugged. You'll watch the video, but then later on, he wanted another hug from His Holiness, the second time, which also explains the mother shocked and her head literally shaking in disbelief and awe.
Can I hug you? It's a question.
So again, the clip that you are about to watch was from the earlier part of the day during the opening ceremony.
Come here. Thank you.
You haven't seen those.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
where the hype medias did not
Yes, sir.
give
Thank you, His Holiness.
the context of when, where, and if you watch one of my videos on Truth Matters, the link below, then you will also find out. We did not see this. So most of the people were misled.
When I was young, my elder brother his name was Asanten. We always lived together and played together. And occasionally, some problem. Then you say, my weapon is this one.
So 4 days ago, when all of this hype came out when all of the many different kind of hypes that came out accusing His Holiness Dalai Lama, all of these different medias, and now obviously more campaigns, voluntary campaigns by the people are coming out, and but 4 days ago, when all of that accusation came out, none of this information was exposed. The context of what was happening, how many people, what event was it, where. If all of those main informations of the context, it was a graduation party, hundreds of students and diplomats were there, and boy, the young students and his mother was right there next to His Holiness Dhamma, and the former prime minister, who was not only one of the prime minister but also one of the most respected scholar, Sangdur Rinpoche, was also right next there. All of those contexts were not given to any of the medias or the media hypes, and so the public was misled. Plus, I and many other people have reminded many people that there's a huge coordinated campaign, launched from the corrupt CCP out there. So now let's continue with the Jingmi's post, and this is brightening. This is shining a bright light, and I call this the voice of truth.
Thank you. Okay.
What an incredibly lucky and courageous boy. Our children, just like us, cannot even look at His Holiness's face without crying or trembling with joy. Forget asking a hug. And for a second time, here's the interview with the student immediately following the teaching.
As we see His Holiness hold you and hugged you, so at that time, what do you feel?
You can only feel the positive energy, and I just can't express how good it feels.
Exactly.
It was amazing meeting His Holiness, and I think it's a really great experience meeting somebody with such high positive energy. It's a really nice feeling meeting him, and you get a lot of that positive energy. It's not just like that, but once you get the positive energy, I think you're happier, and it's a better thing, and you smile a lot more. It was a really good experience overall.
The student's mother was also interviewed. Per her online bio, she holds a Grand Doctor of Philosophy degree from Russia, a diplomatic member of CDI, and studied entrepreneurship at Harvard. She has won many awards and recognitions across the world, and she also dedicates her time educating children. My understanding is that this family has sent a letter to His Holiness apologizing for the distress caused. I hope we can respect the privacy of this family, as they must be equally overwhelmed.
I'm Dr. Trustee M3M Foundation. We've been working in Dharamshala on this skill center which we started last year, and since then we were looking at seeking blessings from His Holiness, and today we got this opportunity, and especially when my family was there with me, and all the students who graduated from I Empower Academy of Skills were also present. We're totally blessed to have got these blessings from His Holiness. He came, addressed us in person, taught about peace that the world needs, and how everyone needs to feel together like brother and sister. And I absolutely cannot, express how I feel getting blessed by him.
His Holiness has been living in exile as a refugee for 64 years, hoping to return home someday to Tibet. He turns 88 years in 3 months. He can barely walk and is rapidly losing his hearing. Yet, after spending his entire life promoting peace, harmony, and love, he still continues to share his wisdom and build bridges across all nations and religions to strive for a better world on the concept of universal oneness and human happiness. It is humanity's greatest fortune to be able to live alongside such a moral leader. And yet there are people who are trying to cancel him. We see them as shining a flashlight at the sun. But it is sad and heartbreaking watching people jump to conclusions after watching a 20 seconds doctored video clip with absolutely no context. A clip that's aggressively promoted by a totalitarian fascist colonial government desperate to erase an entire population, tarnish the impeccable image of the world's most popular icon, and destroy his beloved country. Ever since he was discovered as the reincarnation at the age of 4, a heavy burden was entrusted on his tiny shoulders, the hope of an entire nation. The Dalai Lama is not just the leader for us Tibetans, but the symbol of Tibet manifested in one person. The manipulated video was first shared by a pro-China account named Yinsun at Nation4, a fake YouTube channel named Robert Reed, and a Change.org petition under a fake organization name. They even put a fake Joe Biden as the creator. Please make sure to ask these platforms to ban these fake accounts. The video had over 7 million views on April 8th.
So this is really interesting. So I want to rewind this. Here it says Yin Sun, some on Twitter, had 7.2 million views. Now, if you watch my Truth Matters, the video that I made, which took me 2 days because my YouTube was probably attacked by China or something. And I mentioned about the misinformation campaign. I mentioned about how bots can amplify by sharing short clips and videos on social media platforms, and propaganda parties can amplify the message to create the false impression that there's a wide support for their agenda. And they might have used bots like the AI technologies and fake account to further spread their content and make their appeal. So this is one of the most important. At the time, 4 days ago, I did not know that this Yin Song and some of the accounts, I couldn't trace back to this. But however, right now, 4 days later, we are getting this information. And that is and I hope more people will share and watch the videos, and so that more people can actually come out of their confusion and really get to the truth. I have also some Tibetans wrote in Tibetan language, sharing about, because in the Tibetan tradition, obviously, it's not just tradition, but also His Holiness Dalai Lama is genuinely the symbol of Buddha, or the symbol of compassion. He is viewed as the one who truly practices unconditional loving kindness, impartial, and hence he dedicates all of his lifelong energies, commitments for world peace, commitment for interreligious dialogue, harmony in the world, commitment to spread the culture of compassion and human rights, and also commitment towards ecological balance in the world. He has dedicated entire of his life, and that's why most people around the world were shocked. And so this information is a very significant information, and I'm very happy. I hope people will start seeing this. So here, as you can see, it shows 7.2 million views, when in reality it could be only 2 views. But the bots and the electronic computers, plus the targeted, organized campaign from all the way from corrupt fascist authoritarian regimes. And so now let's continue listen to Jingmi's post.
Had over 7 million views on April 8th. It is clear that bots were used to amplify this video and to create the appearance of popular support while abusing the algorithms. The accounts were created to disseminate Chinese propaganda and the edited video to look pervasive. For 60 years, the CCP has banned any and all photos of the Dalai Lama and the Tibetan flag inside occupied Tibet. It was punishable with up to 10 years in intense slave labor camps. Even trying to search his name online would get one arrested. For the first time in history, CCP has allowed the Dalai Lama to trend, and it has become one of the most searched topics on Weibo, China's biggest social media platform. Of course, it is controlled, and one negative report around the viral video is allowed. This is how desperate and hard they're trying to tarnish and damage the reputation of His Holiness. What's worrisome and frustrating is how leading media outlets across the world have been promoting this manipulated video by using clickbait titles and sensational languages to boost their own rating, without any investigation, without confirming the sources, and without asking Tibetans. Absolutely unacceptable. I stand with Tibetans and supporters of truth across the world, calling on all these journalists and media outlets to immediately remove the manipulated clip, stand with the truth and the right side of history. How can one sleep at night after maligning a cherished leader that has changed the entire landscape of human consciousness with this universally accepted message of peace, love, and compassion? If any of these so-called journalists have even an ounce of conscience in them, they need to apologize to His Holiness. But the irony is that He's already forgiven all of them. I highly recommend all of you to listen to the statements from our current Sikyong, the President of the Central Tibetan Administration, Mr. Pempa Singla, and our previous Sikyong, Dr. Slopsa Singila. Please also take a moment to read this very important statement of support for His Holiness from Tibetan leaders and activists across the globe. You will find all the links below. Now, as I end this video, I want to invite you all to join us to fight child abuse and neglect. Currently, about 1 million Tibetan children, some as young as 4 years old, are separated from their families and forcibly placed into Chinese state-run boarding schools, a re-education program to erase their culture, religion, language, and identity, to condemn His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Please sign the petition in the description calling on G7 leaders to demand China shut the schools down immediately. May our truth prevail. Long live His Holiness the Dalai Lama of Tibet. Pregyalo.
So, so now this is really a very updated information, and that's why I wanted to share with you people, you friends and everyone who's listening out there. And then my secret hero, Robert Thurman, the Tibet House, Mana Online, in New York also issued, let me see. Here you go. And I really like, I guess we might not listen to all of it, but he wrote, His Holiness Dalai Lama, Archetype of Radical Innocence, with Robert Thurman on the recent viral video. So he's on Robert Thurman's, for me, I guess I can say that he's Robert Thurman's, writings and my secret hero out of many.
Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to talk to you today. I have been waiting since the Chinese Communist Party attack video and anti-Dalai Lama public relation campaign stormed the world of social media internationally. And they operate in 30 countries or something. Their assets, their social media assets that they have, like the Russians also, but the Russians may be helping them to try to blacken the name of the Dalai Lama, which they did to gain some form of satisfaction for themselves in revenge for the Dalai Lama's, for two things he did. One, he did a stealth trip to Mongolia a year or two ago, I think before COVID was really full blast, and found the reincarnation of the Bogd Lama, namely the Dalai Lama of Tibet, the traditional Dalai Lama of Tibet. The previous one had lived to quite a ripe old age, but mostly lived in India in exile because of the communist government in Mongolia, of course, for the last 70, 80 years until the 80s and 90s. And then he went back a little bit to Mongolia. Then he did die, and he's a 7-year-old boy now. And that, anyway, infuriated them at the time, as any Dalai Lama watchers will remember. And then on top of that, just recently, a month or so ago, the Dalai Lama initiated that 7-year-old boy, and then he was shown on video in YouTube of several ceremonies in Dharamsala, and that also infuriated them. So they planned this, and they saw how their social media manipulator types saw how they could use the Dalai Lama's expression of a traditional Tibetan expression of affection, not sexual affection, grandparent to child affection. And they could use that, and in the context of all of the scandals in the Catholic Church of pedophilia and so on, they could get people to think, oh, Dalai Lama's that anyway, which is actually an old trope in communist propaganda about Tibet. they hired some Westerners when they first got in the 50s into Tibet, and they hired Westerners who knew about the Protestant, capitalist, Protestant ethnic capitalist aversion to monks, an assumption that monks are all weirdos. And, they had a wax museum about the Tibetans, and they acted like the Tibetans were the ultimate Borgias, even doing human sacrifice of children and all kinds of horrible things. Propaganda which different people swallowed, even George H.W. Bush, after a visit to Tibet in the 80s, 70s, I think, 70s, before, in the 70s, when he was CIA director, he wrote some stuff from Newsweek about visiting that wax museum, and he swallowed that propaganda wholesale at that time. So that's the first context I'm putting this in. The second context is, and I've been waiting to make my own statement in defense of His Holiness, or really, not really, he doesn't need defense. He's the ultimately innocent person, if there ever was, and friendly and loving and kind and compassionate and innocent, completely, with no sexual nothing about anybody. And I was waiting to do that, to explain that to people, to see what else came up and whether. And I sensed when I originally saw the short one, which was a doctored video done by the Communist Party assets who want to blacken the Dalai Lama, as they've always tried to do. He's evil, he's the head of the snake, he's like a wolf in sheep's clothing, all these terrible things. He's a demon. They say that. And they've been saying it for decades. They always do this, to try to disguise their own destruction of Tibet, and out of anger that the Tibetan people are still deeply loyal and deeply love and are deeply committed and dedicated to the spiritual eminence and holiness of His Holiness.
So that is the most, I think, the key importance, where basically the Chinese corporation, the communist fascist authoritarian regime, for them it's a threat to if the public knows the truth. And also, in order to legitimize their annexation, the illegal annexation of Tibet, and also the continuous, since 1950s, just shocking human rights and abuses and violations in Tibet and around China, but specifically Tibet. So in order to continue to cover up what they have been doing in Tibet illegally, all the tortures, arbitrary detentions, disappearance, attack on the monasteries, attacks on the people, just numerous, just mind-bogglingly, just the list goes on and on. And so in order to cover that up, the Communist Party now is continuing to, for them, it's a threat that people stand together, continue to have faith and devotion and complete trust, more than trust, to His Holiness Dalai Lama, because he's absolutely just and worthy. And so that's why all of those, and so that's the most important part that I get from Robert Thurman's, my secret heroes. I can say it publicly because I really believe he's an amazing, and so okay, so let's.
Who's an 87-year-old celibate monastic, genuine one. I have known him for 59 years. And, I was a monk even in his order. I was ordained by him, never laid a hand on me, never did anything. And nor did any other Tibetan monk ever do anything to me of any kind of that kind of thing, suspicion that they're all sex-starved weirdos. They never did any such thing. And I've known them very closely, a close, good friend for many, many years, not to mention perhaps many lifetimes. And they're fine. And he is the most innocent person of all, actually showing his affection for that little kid who seemed to need affection. He asked himself, I need a hug, I need a hug, And his mom was right there and she was all into it with the kid. And then afterwards, they were really happy. And afterwards, their mom and the kid said how wonderful it had been, their meeting with His Holiness, how delighted. And they broke a coconut.
So anyway, yeah, obviously, in this case, Robert Thurman was also kind of like, I think it's a bit too passive, where His Holiness Dalai Lama needs no defense in this case. I think it's already legit. But what we're doing is to stand up with the truth. And the issue is not only with the His Holiness Dalai Lama. The issue is that the big corporation, communist party, the fascists, is really now using these computers and coordinated attacks to falsify, to spread misinformation around the world, trying to cover up their own abuse of human rights, so on and on and on. So that's the most important part that I really get it from here. So again, today, then I want to show you here. There's a lot of event that's happening. So there's no way for me to expose and show you. I hope you enjoy this. And but Tibetans and these are voluntary protests that are happening, demanding the medias. And I hope some of the YouTube influencers and some of the bigger ones, I have no doubt that they have received money to spread this kind of lies. But many might have also, some others might have been fooled, that thinking that it's some real incident it happened. And one of the questions that people were asked, why did Dalai Lama, His Holiness Dalai Lama, have the apology statement? And that is partly the main reason. If you read the apology statement really clearly, His Holiness Dalai Lama, he is dedicated to the service of humanity. So whenever there's any kind of a disturbance that the public are concerned, so he would issue an apology and say, hey, he's really, and it's by no means it's some kind of acceptance of guilt or anything, and because there is nothing to accept as a guilt. And so that's where the twisted media have took few of the connections and completely misjudged the event. Anyway, here you go. Another Sonam, one of the really prominent activists, and many things can be said about it. I connected the link so you can read it. So you
who tried to tarnish the flawless, pristine image of the great 14th Dalai Lama Tenzin Gyatso. We strongly condemn the media, those who are indulging this particular events. Chinese government लगावा इसके पीछे
I, knowing the Western world as well as the Ladakhi world, think it's my duty to share with you all that cultures are different in different parts of the world, values are different. So in Ladakh, as a child, I used to see my mother, who was in her 30s, or other young women in their 20s and teens, walking around bare-breast after washing their hairs among men, and men would not even notice them. They would only see at women's breasts as source of milk for the babies and nothing sexual. Similarly, I used to play with my grandfather and even with my brothers, touching their heads and nose and playing with their tongues with my tongue. And this was normal play. Similarly now, His Holiness Dalai Lama, who is a grandfather figure, in wide public view with the parents of the child around, was being playful with a child, as he always is playful.
Can I hug you? It was amazing meeting His Holiness, and I think it's a really great experience meeting somebody with such high positive energy. It's a really nice feeling meeting him, and you get a lot of that positive energy. It's not just like that, but once you get the positive energy, I think you're happier, and it's a better thing, and you smile a lot more. It was a really good experience.
And we in the Western world think of it as something outrageous. This would be like if His Holiness the Pope in Vatican did something which would be very normal in the Vatican, but out here in Ladakh it would be outrageous, and we start slandering and saying irresponsible things about the Pope. You all in the Western world would be very hurt. Similarly, people here in Ladakh and Tibet are very hurt. And the benefit of this will be for forces that are against His Holiness the Dalai Lama and his peace mission and the cause of Tibet. So, as a making up for the mistakes we have made about this incident, I think we all should pay even more respect for His Holiness and even more support for the cause of Tibet. And
so this is, for me, this is the most kind of a most effective and positive way to respond to accusations and these kind of a media hypes, and when events like this happen and have happened and may happen in the future. So to respond in even more positive ways. All right, so today I want to make it short, and I hope more people have really dug down into the truth, into finding out the real cause of why this misinformation has been spread. I hope by now you know. I hope by now you have watched a number of the other videos and people, and not just follow a social media hype, but really to check the sources and find out the truth is more important. And then, so the protests are happening all around in many different parts of the world. So I just want to show a few of the as you can see, there's so people are really outraged, and they ought to really, so anyway, I hope now, after a good number of days of this going on the day when this happened, on the 11th of April, I made the video, and I myself was in a shock. I couldn't process when I saw the message. And then I started doing research. And as I did the research, it was furthest from the truth. The event that actually happened, which I posted a long time ago, if I may have to even bring it today, right now, I posted a long time ago that the incident happened. And today I'm going to make it very short. So the incident happened on the 28th of February. His Holiness Dalai Lama was addressing for the M3M Foundation. And M3M Foundation is an education foundation. The principal and so and so. And then I related that to all of. So anyway, you can watch those. And then, since then, from today, now 5 days later, now we have really the informations to make the situation much more clear. And I hope more people will, in the future, especially these big medias, I hope more media would really, really do further research, because there are these big institutions, organized CCP's known track on human rights violations, known track on theft of intelligence, informations, so and so and so. So I hope this will bring a slight little bit of clarity for more people. And so today's talk, the Voices of Truth, is to share with you that truth does require a bit more of a kind of a study. It's not instantaneously. Truth is essential for kind of a just society to function better, and truth is essential for upshowing a responsible and accountability for all of the members of the society and the community in around the world. So that's it. I hope my relaxed attitude today, it makes me slightly bitter, even though physically I am still processing the shock that when such striking false accusation becomes so widespread, millions and millions, and globally, so many, especially so many youngsters, immediately quick to blame His Holiness the Dalai Lama without knowing all of who, where, how, all of the contexts were not presented. And when big medias, NTTV, CNN, so many different big medias, insiders, editions, were showing these short clips, I was in shock. And that's why I voluntarily came out, and many others who came out to spread, to tell the truth story. And if you want to watch some of the videos that I put out there, and then I hope maybe in the future I should really keep on bringing voice for Tibet, bringing voice for truth. And so here you go. As you can see, some of the videos here. So this video, so I made the first one on, it was 5 days ago. So it was on the April 10th. So I was still processing. I was in shock, and I immediately made the video. And then the day later, I made these two. And then on the third day, when I was making this video, I already have issues with my YouTube. Might have maybe some kind of a bug or something. It took me 2 days to try to make this. And then the day later, I sent a response in Tibetan and so and so and so. And I had to. So today, I'm not on the YouTube right now, but because my YouTube is going through something. So anyway, all of this together, I hope today everybody's doing well. May the light of the truth shine again. May His Holiness the Dalai Lama continue to live long. And thank you for all who is watching. And support Tibet. Support truth. And may there be peace and well-being in the entire universe in 10,000 dimensions. May the conscious living awakened souls of the past, present, and future bless all of the beings, so that all of the human beings and all of the creatures be able to live in a society, in a country, in a world where there is no more need of war, weapons, and prisons and prisoners. May there be no more inequalities. May all of us be more bit equal and kind and loving. And thank you. I hope this is a meaningful, purposeful video. And thank you. Jashid the Lake.